Hello, Sagittarius. June opens with a wave of energy that's hard to ignore. Everything is becoming clearer. The line between those who are genuine and those who are two-faced is slowly being revealed. And what's different this time is you're no longer brushing things off like before. The planet of action, decisiveness, and at times anger is moving out of your 9th house, where it had burned through many ideals, beliefs, and lofty expectations. Now, as it enters your 10th house, ruling careers, social roles, and reputation, you simply don't have the patience to keep living in vagueness. You're being asked to see clearly. What direction do you truly want to go in, and what needs a firm enough? This shift isn't just about the external. Something inside you is also changing. Perhaps for the first time in a long while, you're starting to see that some of the things you once believed in or tried hard to protect no longer align with who you're becoming. You no longer feel the need to keep pleasing someone just because they once held importance in your past. And you're no longer easily swayed by words that sound right but feel off deep down. When Mars enters the 10th house, a big push in career is very possible, especially for those in fields that require initiative, confidence, or public presence. But what's more important is this. You begin to realize that it's your inner maturity, not effort alone, that shifts how others see you. It's not about trying to be strong, it's about not feeling like you need anyone's permission to live as your full self. And right at the moment you dare to release old beliefs, let old versions of yourself fall away, that's when something new begins to emerge. Someone may enter your life around this time. They won't arrive with grand promises, and they might not impress you at first glance. But there's something real in them. A calm presence, lived experience, depth. They may come from a deeply academic background or simply be someone who's endured their fair share of hardship without becoming bitter. They don't preach. They don't perform. But you'll feel they're different. Astrologically, this month also highlights the strong influence of a planetary cluster in Aries, a fellow fire sign activating your 5th house, which rules creativity, romance, and authentic emotional expression. This isn't about fairy tale love. It's about connection that has foundation. With this person, perhaps, you won't need to trade passion for safety or give up freedom to feel loved. Both might exist at once. Of course, everything at this stage is just beginning, but you feel different. You're no longer rushing in with blind trust. You're not opening up so easily anymore. And yet, you're not closed off or cold either. You're simply more aware. And that awareness is the groundwork for everything good that's about to come. There's something showing up clearly in this month's astrological chart. And in your mind, too. Someone you once respected, someone you thought you had to listen to, obey, or tolerate. Turns out they never deserved that place in your life. Maybe they were a family member, an elder, or simply someone who appeared right when you were most vulnerable. They gave the impression of being a good person. They spoke gently, acted kindly, just enough to keep you from doubting them. But now, after everything you've lived through, you're starting to look back and realize that what they did was never really for you. They always expected you to follow, but never cared what you thought. They demanded your gratitude, your obedience, while they were the ones who hurt you. They belittled your feelings, made you feel like you were never enough. And the worst part? They did it all under the name of love. For some Sagittarians, this person may be tied to your early life, when you didn't have the words to fight back or the awareness to recognize control for what it was. They were present at key moments, teaching you to be kind, to be selfless, to keep the peace. But they were also the reason you began to doubt your own worth. This month's astrology, especially with the upcoming full moon shining directly in your 1st house, is bringing you back to those memories. Not to torment you, but to help you see clearly, to help you finally admit, that person wasn't as good as I thought, and more importantly, I don't owe them anything anymore. Those with Saturn or Pluto positioned in the 4th or 12th houses may feel this even more strongly. You may have been raised in an environment where elders are always right, or where children were expected to be endlessly grateful. You may have sacrificed your own sense of truth to keep peace in the family. But now those same planetary influences are teaching you a new lesson. Real gratitude can't grow out of emotional distortion. And yes, you're angry. Not explosively, but with a quiet, razor-sharp kind of anger. The kind that makes you ask, why? Did I allow that to happen? It's the anger that comes when you realize you were caught in a game that was rigged from the start. They were always the ones setting the board. They might have told you that you were too sensitive, too selfish, or not thinking of others. But now you see the truth. Those words were only meant to keep control. They didn't want you to think differently, live differently, or walk away. They didn't want you to grow into someone with your own voice, your own no. And they certainly didn't want to hear you say they were wrong. The hard part is you once cared about this person. You once trusted them, and that's what makes the truth hurt. But what hurts even more is how long you stayed silent, how misplaced respect kept you from looking at them clearly. And now, everything has changed. The full moon in Sagittarius, mid-June, acts like a spotlight beaming into that shadowed corner. It doesn't come to stir up drama. It comes so you stop hiding the truth from yourself, to remind you you are no longer that child who had to obey, and that you don't owe anyone, especially someone who hurt you, your gratitude. Maybe they're still playing the role of the good person, still soft-spoken, still caring, still offering help, but this time you're not moved. You see what's behind the act, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. This isn't the time to forgive and forget. This is the time to step out of their orbit, not in a fit of rage, but with calm clarity. You know now who's sincere, and you also know who's been using your kindness as a free pass into your emotional space whenever they please. This time, you're not letting them do it again. On June 12th, the full moon takes place in Sagittarius, and there's nothing coincidental about its timing. When a full moon illuminates your first house, it doesn't just help you see others more clearly, it forces you to see yourself. All the blurred parts within you, old beliefs, familiar responses, habitual people-pleasing, are now thrown into stark relief. There's no more room to avoid it. A full moon is the emotional high point of any lunar cycle. It shows you what has reached its limit, what can no longer continue. And since this one falls in your first house, the house of identity, personal expression, and how you show up in the world, you'll be asked one simple but heavy question. Who am I when I stop pretending? Maybe you've lived a life shaped by others' expectations, tried to be easygoing, made yourself smaller to avoid conflict. But this full moon won't let you keep the mask on. It shines directly on your deepest fear, being seen as difficult or ungrateful. And it's precisely when you face that fear that you reclaim your power. This is the time to hold on to your softness, but not let anyone step on it. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to stay clear. Kindness is something you give to the right people, not a resource anyone can take freely. If you have Venus, the Sun, or your ascendant around 20-22 degrees of Sagittarius, you'll feel this lunation especially strongly. A part of you will be shed. A mask you wore to make others comfortable will no longer serve you. You'll no longer need to hold yourself back. You'll no longer feel obligated to understand where they're coming from one more time. And here's the beauty. When you finally choose honesty, you don't lose your kindness. You just stop offering it too easily. You keep your generosity, but you no longer let it be used recklessly. This full moon helps you realize you can be soft and still have boundaries. You can be warm and still say no. Around this time, something might happen that pushes you to speak your truth. No more politeness, a conversation, an old invitation, someone from the past, or a repeated behavior you've seen before. And this time, you won't ignore it. You'll recognize, I've been here, I know where this leads, I don't need to try it again. That's when the spotlight hits the dark corner, not to humiliate you, but to help you stop lying to yourself. This full moon might also make you reassess the people around you. Who's truly walking beside you, and who's just clinging to your presence to feel secure? Who approaches you with fairness, and who constantly demands your empathy without ever offering any back? Mercury is forming a harmonious aspect with this full moon, helping you find the right words to express what you feel. But be careful. Don't share everything with everyone. Not everyone deserves to hear your full truth. Let emotion guide the direction, but let logic drive the wheel. If you're starting something new, a project, a relationship, a personal path, This full moon acts as a clarity checkpoint. It asks, are you truly ready to move forward? Have you left enough of the old behind? Or are you still holding on to what once hurt you? You're no longer the one who trusted too easily, softened too quickly, or got pulled along without thinking. But you're not hardened either. You're just learning to be selective, to take a step back when needed, to watch before opening up. And that's not painful growth, it's wisdom. A kind of wisdom you've earned through every moment you've made it through. June isn't just a month to release the old. It's also a month to test your new reflexes. Maybe you thought you had already learned the lesson, but the universe has another question for you. If the same situation shows up again, will you choose differently this time? This person could be someone new, or it could be someone from your past returning in a new form under different circumstances. They won't arrive with anything obvious. They'll come across as friendly, strangely familiar, and that's exactly why you need to stay alert. If in the past you opened up too quickly, thinking everyone shared your good intentions, then this month's astrology is asking you to do the opposite. Don't rush to share everything. Don't let others know what you're thinking, what you're planning, not because you need to shut down, but because you deserve a safe space until you're sure they've earned your trust. Mercury is moving through your 7th house, the house of one-on-one relationships, suggesting that you'll be communicating more with others during this time. But that also comes with risk. Your words could be used against you and personal information could be exploited. You might find yourself in a conversation that feels harmless until you realize the other person knows a lot about you and you know almost nothing about them. This person might offer a partnership or suggest something that sounds completely reasonable. But don't just listen to their words. Watch how they react when you say no, when you stay silent, or when you draw a boundary. Their reactions will tell you far more than their words ever could. You might sense that something is off even if they don't do anything explicitly wrong. It's that subtle wave of intuition you used to ignore, but not this time. This time you know better, because this time you're no longer willing to replay the same game. Astrologically, this isn't just about one person. It could be a group, an opportunity, a proposal. But at the core of it is the same challenge. You need to sharpen your discernment. Your radar is getting an upgrade, and this month is the first real-world test. That said, it's also possible that someone new enters your life with genuine intentions. Even so, there's no need to rush into full vulnerability. If they're truly trustworthy, they won't be hurt by your patience. The ones worth trusting will understand and respect your pace. The ones who pressure you to open up too fast, those are the ones you should be wary of. The sun is currently moving through your 7th house, and by the end of the month it will shift into the 8th, a house that governs secrets, shared resources, and deep emotional bonds. Meaning, anyone you allow into your life at this time may be able to access you on a very deep level, and that's why you need to choose carefully, very carefully. This month isn't only about saying no to what no longer fits. It's also about learning how to say yes to what's new, not out of hope, but from clarity. Not because you fear being alone, but because something truly aligns. Not because it's been so long since anyone cared, but because you've recognized what real care feels like. And this might be it. Whoever appears now is a test, not to make you fail, but to show you how much you've truly changed. This is the month you redraw your boundaries, not with dramatic declarations, but with small, steady actions. Clear, firm, and non-negotiable. You've long been used to giving, freely, without calculation, without conditions. You once believed that kindness would be appreciated, but in the end what you've learned is this: when there are no limits, even kindness gets used as a weakness. Astrologically, June activates the energy of your 8th house, the area connected to shared power, finances, and emotional intimacy. It's also the house of hidden things, of unequal dynamics. And if you've ever felt drained by a person or a type of relationship where you constantly had to carry the weight, then this is your time to stop. In the past, you may have hesitated to upset others, hesitated to say no, worried about seeming selfish. But this month you understand, no one has the right to come into your life, move in and out of your emotions like a door without a lock. And if someone used to have that access, they no longer do. This isn't a rash decision, it's one born out of repeated disappointment, out of the many times you blamed yourself for trusting too much. So this time, when someone shows up with the same familiar tricks, you'll see it right away. No need for more proof. No need to test it one more time. Saturn, the planet of boundaries, discipline, and hard-earned lessons, is now making challenging aspects to your personal planets, forcing clarity. You're being asked to take your standards seriously. This is the time to close the door on what no longer deserves access, to make room for something more honest, cleaner, deeper. Don't be surprised if you find yourself reacting differently now. A message from an ex? You don't reply. Someone bringing up an old story? You stay silent. Not because you've turned cold, but because you no longer need to revisit it. What needed to be seen, you've seen. What needed to be learned, you've learned. And this time, the lesson is clear. No one gets to misuse your kindness again. If you're in a vague connection, unclear love, undefined work relationships, this month's full moon and planetary shifts will force clarity. No more "let's see how it goes." No more "just a little more time." It's either move forward or move on. No more halfway. You're no longer someone who listens to promises without watching actions. You're no longer moved by apologies alone. Instead, you're watching how people repair, how they follow through, how they behave when you say no. And in those moments, you see who they really are. Also, don't be surprised if you feel like pulling away from old circles, friend groups, familiar environments, places you used to fit in but now leave you drained. That's not you being negative. That's you being honest with how you feel. You're done pretending to be okay just to be polite. Your emotional state now feels like water that's just been cleared of old mud, transparent but not yet still. Because you know, this is a transitional phase, one you have to walk through alone, so that no one can pull you back again. And even if there's love, even if there's longing, you're still choosing to move forward. The sun slowly entering your 8th house signals this shift. You're beginning to see what's truly worth holding on to, and what must be released. You might lose a few people, but in return, you reclaim yourself. And you are the most valuable thing you've ever had. What's unfolding in June is a gentle yet deep test. Just enough for you to see how far you've truly grown. Not to make you suspicious of everyone, but to help you realize awareness is a form of protection. And this time you're protecting yourself first. If what's been shared in this forecast resonates with your experience, feel free to leave a comment below. The universe has a way of reaching those who are meant to hear the message. And if you'd like to continue following your astrological journey in a way that's calm, grounded, and real, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just hit follow, so that each time the energy shifts, you won't miss the message meant just for you.